everybody, I'm Ryan from the Baby Bombers podcast, and we have an update on Jasson Dominguez and his elbow injury, reported by Brian Hoke of MLB.com. The Yankees expect Jasson Dominguez to begin swinging a bat by the end of spring training camp. He is already shagging fly balls, and he should begin throwing shortly. Now, it was reported earlier, a couple of weeks ago, by Aaron Boone himself, that Jasson Dominguez was to begin throwing in about 2 weeks before that point. I believe it was last week, if I'm not mistaken. So we're about a week away from Jasson Dominguez potentially starting to play catch and throwing, which is huge considering when you look at what an elbow injury, especially a UCL tear, affects the most. It's your throwing. And as the Yankees build up Jasson Dominguez and get him back to game speed, they're going to be patient with this process. All signs indicate that they're not going to rush him back. They're not going to do something like what the Phillies did with Bryce Harper, which is bring him back without an ability to play a position or throw the baseball reliably yet. I don't think that's something the Yankees would do, especially considering that they currently have the DH spot clogged up with Giancarlo Stanton. Now, you might go, what if an outfielder were to go down? What if, Giancarlo Stanton were to get hurt and you have a DH spot open? I think the Yankees would try to slot in Grisham in center and put Judge and Soto in right field and DH, kind of alternate the two and keep them fresh. I don't think the Yankees would rush Dominguez based on an injury to another player, but rather they would view Dominguez as his own independent timeline of recovery, and when they feel he's ready, they will factor him into any injury situations or any call-ups or any in-season promotions. Do I believe we see Jasson Dominguez this year? Absolutely. I think Jasson Dominguez is too good of a player to not see this year, especially if he's healthy, and the Yankees are going to have some injuries, the Yankees are going to have some guys slump, they're going to have some guys struggle. That's part of the game, that's part of this process, but I think Dominguez is certainly the kind of guy that you look at and say, if you can slot him into your lineup even at the age of just 21, you're going to get a big boost. There are a lot of skills that I really love in his profile. First and foremost, the hit tool. It's gotten a lot better. That's something that hasn't really always been there for him. If you look at his lower level minor league stats, especially in single A, he ran some pretty high strikeout rates, and then they progressively got better. And it kind of crescendoed last year where he cut his strikeout rate down to 17.2% in the second half after the All-Star break, made the right adjustments, finally started making more consistent contact. Some other things that really stand out in his profile include his excellent plate discipline. He has a very watchful eye. He is able to make the right swing decisions in most cases. If it's a pitch in the zone, he'll swing at it. If it's a pitch out of the zone, he will not offer at it. He knows when to be selective. He knows when to be aggressive. Those little things, those little details go a long way in terms of, projecting a player's output and projecting a player's role in the future. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that coming back from Tommy John surgery, there's going to be a window where he's not going to hit for much power. If you guys remember when Bryce Harper came back last year, I know I'm using Bryce Harper as an example, and it's not necessarily fair to compare Jasson Dominguez to a guy who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but in the sense of Bryce Harper went a pretty long stretch without hitting a home run when he came back, and it's because, again, you really struggle to hit for power when your elbow, you just reconstructed your elbow, you just had your UCL reconstructed, and you should expect that same kind of thing to occur for Dominguez. Don't expect him to hit, 20 home runs in the second half. I would say, you have to be very, realistic here. Maybe it's a couple of home runs, maybe it's, 5 or 6 or 7 over the stretch of maybe 50 games, but I wouldn't expect a massive home run total from him. I expect him to more produce with his excellent plate discipline, his improving contact tools, his excellent speed to grab an extra base or whatever it may be. His athleticism is still there. It's not like, he had a lower body injury. It's not as if he couldn't train his lower body, remain mobile, remain athletic. He just couldn't throw or he couldn't swing a bat. So I expect Jasson Dominguez to still have his blistering speed. I expect him to still have all of the physical tools that made him so great. But the Yankees are going to have to build him back up. They're going to have to rehab him. They're going to have to take their time with this process. And, again, I know that center field position could be a little bit up for grabs because Judge is playing center, and you would imagine that the Yankees don't want to keep playing him in center all year. But I also don't believe that the Yankees view Aaron Judge, as a guy who can't hold up all year. They've done it before. And I also don't know if they think Jasson Dominguez is a capable center fielder next to Juan Soto in left field, where left field is a troublesome process to play left field. And Aaron Judge in center, not that Aaron Judge is an elite defensive center fielder, but he's a good one, and it keeps Juan Soto in right field and allows you to have Verdugo in left field. That helps you a lot with your defense. I know that people don't like to hear this, but defense really does matter. It helps your run prevention, and when we're looking at trying to rush a guy back to play him in center field after UCL tear, it's just going to spell disaster. So, ultimately, I think Dominguez slots in the corner outfield, or maybe he gets a lot of DH reps when he returns to the major league level. Brian Hoke, again, reported that timeline to be summer. That has not changed. It has not changed to maybe it'll be spring, maybe it'll be, May, maybe it'll be, early June. Summer is still the timeline, and that's the timeline I'm going to stand firm on. I think some point in July would be realistic, maybe late June, but, again, it depends on the Yankees' injury situation. If Giancarlo Stanton's clicking, if Verdugo's hitting, if Soto and Judge are just Soto and Judge, there's not really an avenue to play a guy like Jasson Dominguez and try to slot him into your outfield and take out a guy who's, a consistent major league contributor and throw in a guy who's young and could use the reps in AAA, play every day, get himself back to where he needs to be. And look, again, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's got a slump. I'm not going to sit here and say that all of that group of Verdugo, Stanton, Rizzo, LeMahieu, that they're all going to bounce back and be great and be the players they should be. Some guys are just not going to take that step forward. Some guys are going to remain stagnant. Some guys are going to maybe take a step back again. Some guys are going to get hurt. That's baseball. And, the Yankees will use Dominguez as needed, not rely on Dominguez. There's a key difference there, and I think that's important. Now, as it pertains to the Yankees farm system, Jasson Dominguez is their top outfield prospect. He is their top prospect, period. Spencer Jones has kind of taken the mantle as their top active prospect, right? Like Dominguez is currently sidelined. So when the season kicks off, Spencer Jones will be their best prospect opening the year in that regard. And look, Jones is an incredible athlete as well. The conversation of how Spencer Jones fits into the Yankees outfield will certainly be an interesting one, but I do believe the Yankees will find room for him. He is a much better defensive outfielder than Dominguez is. In fact, I'd argue he's the best defensive outfielder in their organization. He is ridiculous out there. Unbelievable combination of speed and power from a guy at that size. He has great range, great defensive instincts, great arm. He has a background as a starting pitcher, so he's throwing rockets out there. He is an excellent defensive center fielder. I expect him to play center field for the Yankees for the foreseeable future. If the bat continues to take steps forward, he'll be an exciting watch in spring training. I don't think we'll see Jasson Dominguez play in spring training. Even if he begins swinging, I think it would be a little bit crazy to have him start, trying to hit off of 90 plus miles an hour, especially if it's towards the back end of spring training. That's typically where we see, more major league caliber pitchers. We're not going to be seeing, a guy who they non-rostered invite and hasn't been pitching well. You're going to be seeing, the rotation guys or your primary bullpen arms as guys get cut and sent to minor league camp and whatever it may be. You'll be facing better competition by then, and I don't think the Yankees want Jasson Dominguez trying to swing off 100-mile-per-hour fastballs in his first action of just swinging the bat. He has not begun swinging the bat yet. So when I say swinging the bat, I mean that in the simplest way, and just picking up the bat and dry swings, tee work, all that stuff. They're going to ease him into this process. It's the right angle to take. I know that people don't want to hear this, but or maybe some people do want to hear this, but the Yankees are going to be very patient with this. They're going to take their time. They're not going to rush things. They're not going to force them into action. But again, as it pertains to the farm system, Spencer Jones is an opportunity to kind of fly through the system. He's got really good defensive tools. The Yankees really love him, and there's a chance he plays this year if he plays well enough. Some other outfield prospects, Everson Pereira is a guy that is certainly going to be interesting. He really struggled last year. Now, hitting coordinator Joe Maglocchio actually spoke on Everson Pereira earlier today in an article from NJ.com by Max Goodman. He's an excellent writer. You guys should definitely check out his work, in which he talked about the fact that maybe Pereira wouldn't have come up in a year where the Yankees were completely healthy, but those reps at the major league level was certainly important for him, and talking about how, even if he struggles at the major league level, even those struggles that he had last year, those are still learning experiences. Those are still moments for him to get better. Pereira was graded as a top 100 prospect on various outlets, including Baseball America and The Athletic. So, definitely interesting to see how he progresses and what the angle is with the New York Yankees as the next few weeks keep pouring in and as we get closer to spring training. Pitchers and catchers have reported. Guys are down there. There have been guys at minor league camp. Some guys that have been there on the major league side of things have been visiting. Are guys like Garrett Cole. He stopped by there today. And given the guys that they have down there, you have Chase Hampton, you have Will Warren. The guy I want to really focus on here is Chase Hampton because he's been deemed the mini Cole by some guys in the organization because of his great four-seam fastball and his excellent pitch mix, his diverse and his strikeout heavy approach. So, certainly interesting to see how Garrett Cole kind of meshes with those younger guys. Cole is a very analytical guy. He is a very forward-thinking guy. He is someone who's taken a lot of pitchers under the wing. Clark Schmidt was a guy who took under the wing last year. He's been a mentor to a lot of guys in this pitching staff. So it's definitely awesome to see him getting work in, or at least seeing and getting his eyes on some of the young pitchers they have coming through the organization. But with that being said, that'll cover today's update on Jasson Dominguez's elbow that we got from Brian Hoke. If you guys like today's podcast, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell and let us know what you guys think about these episodes. We've got you guys some more prospect content coming out soon. Again, thank you guys so much for stopping by. You guys can follow me at Ryan Garcia ESM on Twitter. You guys can also check out Fireside Yankees, which is our main account on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and you guys can also check out EmpireSportsMedia.com for all your favorite New York sports team content and prospect content as well. Again, thank you guys so much for stopping by, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.